come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses.
Hello people. There is this great debate going on about the Sabbath day, and what day you should go to church on, and things like that. It's been going on for a long time. I want to help the person who wants the truth. Are you ready for this? Stick with it and learn something new. First, let's be clear that the Sabbath day has nothing to do with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, except the fact that they are just one of many religious groups that try to honor it and keep it holy. Seventh-day Adventists are not a cult. Some people try to shoot at them because they profess the Sabbath day. But they are just like any Christian who follows the Bible. People who are new to Christianity don't know much about Adventists, except that they talk about a weird Sabbath day and going to church on Saturday. There are many types of Adventist churches. What? Yeah, Adventist just means to look for the return or advent of Christ. Oh, you didn't know that? And if you did your research, you would find that Sunday churches are the oddball in the world. And know that most American churches came from Adventism after the year 1844. That's another story, but I wanted to lay a few facts out there you don't often hear. Neither does the Sabbath day belong to the Jews or Hebrews only. It wasn't given to us by a rabbi or priest or church. And no man created the Sabbath day. No, Moses did not create the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day comes to us from God, and was given to us for a reason. It is an option in the Ten Commandments. It is an option that only a fool would turn down. Just like the other 10 Commandments, we can adhere to them and live or do our own thing, and suffer. Like it or not recognizing the Sabbath day is why so many people in the world are suffering from anxiety and depression. The Sabbath day was really given to prevent conditions like those. Not only those, but also many other ailments. I will explain later. There is absolutely way too much to cram in a short video, but if you have an open mind and willing heart, God will guide you towards the truth, beginning with the basic information that I'm providing you. But know that I have stacks and stacks of information that could convince the person who is searching for the truth. My information is based on unbiased ideas and facts. I don't speak on behalf of any religion. I try to speak on behalf of the truth, God's truth. Trust me when I say that my only purpose is to help all understand that we have gotten away from what is right and have become interested in what feels good. Back to the Sabbath. The Sabbath was, and is still real. No man created it, so no man can extinguish it. The Sabbath is natural. Your body and soul tell you to take the Sabbath, whether you want to or not. But you might not listen or believe. The Sabbath was never originally about going to church, even though it's not wrong if you honor your Sabbath by worshiping God and fellowship in a church building, because that is a great way of keeping it holy. Quick statement concerning something I saw on the internet recently. Just because we don't see Adam and Eve ever talking about religion or Sabbaths and stuff, doesn't mean that they didn't, or that it didn't exist. Moving on. When God gave Moses the Sabbath day and the 10 Commandments, he told Moses that the people were to rest and not leave their tent. Some of those Israelites were disobedient. They went out of their tent on the Sabbath day and were struck dead. The Sabbath was so serious back then that Moses said that they would be killed if they didn't honor it. A quick side note, the Hebrews were not the chosen people because they were great or honorable. Over and over God had to chastise the Hebrews for simple disobedience. No, God really chose them because their minds were not polluted with pagan or heathen religions at the time that they were in bondage. That was important because at that point God wanted to instill His truth in a people that had no formal religion. Read in Genesis where Moses first tried to introduce God's plan to them. They thought Moses was nuts. But God was going to use the Hebrews to show the world that He really existed, and that the false gods had no real power. The Hebrews weren't great lovers of God, they were just available. And they weren't the converted, European, so-called Jews we see in the Middle East today. That's for another day. So as many years passed, the chosen people passed down the Sabbath as God's rest day. But like anything else, over time, people watered it down and added to it. After all, Moses, Aaron, Joshua, and those guys like them were dead, or dying off and weren't around. So you could imagine how people eventually wanted to do their own thing. Leadership got weaker and weaker. They eventually emerged from living in the wilderness, and built temples. At some point they decided that they would go to temple on the Sabbath that was passed down. But they also began to say that become fanatically strict on things. They would start teaching that a person couldn't do this, or that certain thing on the Sabbath day, or etc. So after about 1300 years something like that had passed after the Exodus, the Hebrews/Jews had eventually turned the Sabbath into a whole new thing. It was a mockery of what Moses had given